Today, we're going to try and connect the dots between all these crises that can feel totally separate. Urban violence, the drug economy, failing schools. We're going to see how they tell a single, really powerful story. It's a story about systemic failure for sure, but it's also a story about incredible human resilience. Wow, that question from a Chicago resident who's just surrounded by violence, it just cuts right to the heart of it, doesn't it? And you know what? People are asking that same question all across the country. So in this explainer, we're going to look at the reality on the ground, starting with what that fear actually feels like. Okay, so to really get the big picture, we have to look at the different front lines where these struggles are playing out. From Chicago to New York and Detroit, you start to see this really troubling pattern emerge. Think about that. In parts of Chicago, that number, that isn't just some abstract statistic. It's the terrifying, predictable rhythm of daily life. Gun violence isn't some shocking, rare event. It's the constant background noise to everything else. And then you jump over to New York City, where a drug kingpin named Bug Out sums up his whole world with this, just chilling simplicity. His operation, it's not just a criminal thing. It's a sophisticated, parallel economy. It's running on a massive scale, and it's all fueled by demand and just sheer desperation. And then you've got Detroit. And here we see a different kind of crisis, but one with consequences that are just as devastating. Get this, a staggering 93% of kids are not reading at their grade level. This isn't just a problem for schools. It's a generational crisis that threatens to cut off opportunity before a kid's life can even really begin. So you see, a shooting, a drug deal, a kid who can't read, these aren't just separate, isolated tragedies. No, they're all symptoms of much, much deeper fractures in the system that are weakening the very foundations of these communities. And this slide right here, it just lays it out so clearly, the promise versus the reality. On one side, you've got what we're told we have, public education and law and order. But on the other side, what's actually happening? 47 schools are shut down in Chicago, and there's such a deep-seated mistrust of the police that communities feel like they have to fend for themselves. The very systems that are supposed to help are failing. And no matter which city we look at, we keep seeing the same forces at play. You've got economic desperation that pushes people into illegal work. You have generational trauma that's just never been treated. You have institutions that have basically collapsed, and you have this profound sense of social alienation. It's a perfect storm. So what do? What happens when the official systems, the ones you're supposed to be able to count on, just fail? Well, people don't just give up. They adapt, they survive, they create their own rules, their own structures, just to get by. For some people, surviving means you have to build a whole new economy from the ground up. The drug trade in Washington Heights is a perfect example of this. It's an entire ecosystem with its own jobs, its own hierarchies, its own rules, and it's all operating completely outside the law. And this is fascinating. The guy running it, Bug Out, he doesn't see himself as just a criminal. Not at all. In his mind, he's an employer, a provider. He's creating jobs in a place where there are basically no other options. He even calls his operation a factory, with different workers and positions. It's a business that was born purely out of necessity. But the fallout from all this, it's not just economic. It's not just about money or jobs. It's so much deeper. It's a deeply personal thing. It's this psychological weight that people are carrying around every single day, and so many of them are left to fight that battle completely alone. Take a man named Nick, who we meet in New York. He became homeless after his family just fell apart. For him, heroin isn't about a party. It's a form of self-medication. It's a way to escape the crushing weight of his depression. And it's a similar story over in Chicago with a young drug dealer named Kool-Aid. He tells this just awful story about seeing his sister get killed at her own 10th birthday party. He uses marijuana to cope with what is very clearly post-traumatic stress. He just says, "I'd be on edge all the time." For him, and for so many others, selling drugs and using them, they're two sides of the exact same coin, survival. But, and this is so important, even in the middle of these incredibly difficult situations, you find these extraordinary people. They're the helpers, they're the healers. They are the individuals who step right into the cracks of this broken system and try to hold it all together. In Chicago, you've got this guy, Lee Daniel, a former gang member, and he has this really clear strategy for how to do this. He's what they call a violence interrupter. First, he builds trust where the police can't. Then, he steps into conflicts to de-escalate them before they explode. And finally, he offers ongoing support to try and break the cycle for good. It's this methodical, street-level approach to making peace. Then you go to Detroit and you meet Coach Colley. He runs a boxing gym, but really, it's about so much more than fighting. His motto says it all. He uses the discipline and the draw of the boxing ring to get kids in the door, and then he gives them the academic tutoring that they desperately need but just aren't getting from their schools. And how about this? It's New Year's Eve in New York City, probably the busiest, craziest night of the year, right? Well, that's where you'll find Baron Johnson, a volunteer EMT. While the rest of the city is celebrating, he's out there responding to overdoses and gunshot wounds, and he's not getting paid a single dime for it. He just does it from his heart because he hates to see people get hurt. And here's what's so crucial to understand about all of this. These are not government programs. This isn't some big state-funded top-down initiative. The life-saving work that Lee, Colley, and Barron are doing, it's all happening from the bottom up. It's driven by individual will, and it's happening against these incredible, overwhelming odds. And that incredible grassroots action, well, it brings up a really tough question for the rest of us. It forces us to look at this massive gap between these heroic individual efforts and the sheer scale of the collective failure. This slide really just puts that challenge into perspective. Look at these numbers. In Chicago, you have multiple shootings every single day. Lee Daniel, as amazing as he is, can only hope to reach one person, maybe two. In Detroit, Coach Colley's gym is a total lifeline, but he's got 800 kids on his waiting list. The scale of the need is just, it's overwhelming. And this quote from Lee, man, it just says everything, doesn't it? He considers saving one life out of 5 a victory, and it absolutely is a victory. But his words also carry this heartbreaking reality that 4 other people are still at risk. It's a constant, impossible battle against the numbers. So all of this leaves us with one final, huge question, a question we can't avoid. We've seen what happens when individuals step up with incredible courage, but when the systems themselves are this broken on such a fundamental level, is individual heroism ever going to be enough? And if not, who is responsible for picking up the pieces and putting it all back together?